Hey guys, I hope all is well. Thank you for joining me for this Truth Talk episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about a few movies that made some dark predictions for 2024. But before we begin, I just wanted to let my patrons know a new Patreon exclusive is dropping by Wednesday about the infamous Hollywood pizza parties. Most of you guys should know exactly what I'm referring to by this. Unfortunately, due to obvious reasons, I will not be posting this video here on YouTube. So if you're a Patreon member, you can expect that video by Wednesday. Thank you all. Now let's get right into it. We're only 30 days into the new year, and already 2024 has begun with a rough start. So much has been going on that has left me wondering what else is going to happen in 2024. The very first video I did this year was about The Simpsons making a dark prediction for what seems to be the year 2024. In that Simpsons video I did, we spoke about a Simpsons episode where Homer and a group of doomsday preppers are preparing for an EMP attack that would bring in the apocalypse.
Homer, meet the Springfield prep. What would you do in the case of an EMP?
Electromagnetic pulse.
A burst of radiation that knocks out every electrical system in the country.
Impending doom.
What you reading, Dad?
Honey, everything's fine. Nothing to worry about.
When things go south, the sheeple will clean out every supermarket in town.
Typical sheeple.
What's WROL? Means without the rule of law. Anarchy. The end of civilization. Coming soon to an America near you.
America can't collapse. We're as powerful as ancient Rome.
This all seemed rather concerning to me, especially after I saw it was being reported by the news that in 2024 we might be experiencing an EMP scenario, as it is expected solar storms would hit the planet due to a hole that was found in the sun. In the Simpsons episode, they showed Homer and his family going into underground bunkers for safety while the world panicked. Strangely, this is just like the billionaires are starting to do now. I know you guys have been seeing all of the billionaires building themselves fully sustainable doomsday bunkers all of a sudden. Some people might think they're doing it for safety, but why build an underground bunker when you can build a safe room for much less? There has to be a reason they're all choosing to go underground now. Many people believe the Simpsons are some kind of TV fortune tellers who see the future and make an episode out of it for their series. The truth is, the Simpsons writers can't see the future. What they are doing is using predictive programming and foreshadowing to pre-program people's reaction to what the elite have planned. In that Simpsons video, I revealed clear evidence that would suggest the creators of The Simpsons were Freemasons and their so-called predictions were just what the Masons had planned for our future. If you haven't seen my Simpsons episode yet, make sure you check it out after this one. After doing the research for that Simpsons episode, it had me thinking if there were any other times that Hollywood quote-unquote predicted what might happen in 2024. What I found was that for a very long time, Hollywood has been hinting at something coming in the year 2024 in several of their movies. For some odd reason, Hollywood set these movies in the year 2024, and what they show happening that year is truly disturbing. In today's episode, we will be looking at a few movies that made dark predictions for 2024. The first movie we're going to be talking about is Beyond the Time Barrier. Beyond the Time Barrier is a sci-fi dystopian thriller movie starring Robert Clark that was released in the 1960s. The movie followed the story of Major Allison, who was sent on a mission to suborbital space to test a new aircraft called the X-80. When Allison was done with the test and returned to the military base, he realized that the military base somehow appeared different, and it wasn't at all how he left it. He noticed that it was now all of a sudden abandoned, and so was everything else in the area. After looking around for a while, he found what appeared to be a futuristic city in the distance. Right as he started making his way to the city, he was knocked out and captured by a group of unknown people. Allison then wakes up only to find himself in a dystopian underground city, which they call the Citadel. Allison is trying to get answers from those who captured him, but they all seem to ignore his questions. These unknown men then escort Allison to their leader, who they call the Supreme. After meeting the Supreme, Allison is sent to a prison where the Supreme keeps all of his enemies. While Allison is in prison, he is attacked by some of the prisoners who appear to be mutants. After fending them off, he is told by one of the mutants that he is no longer in the 60s, but in the year 2024. Allison then learns that when he got into the aircraft, he somehow traveled through time and ended up in the year 2024. He also finds out that the reason everyone is living underground is due to what they called a cosmic plague. This cosmic plague they were referring to was a military nuclear weapon test that went bad and ended civilization as we know it. When the disaster happened, some people were able to escape to an underground bunker city they had built, but they were still affected by the radiation. The nuclear fallout caused the survivors to become deaf and mute, and they also became infertile, which stopped population growth. Those who didn't make it to the underground bunker became mutants due to the radiation. Now in the year 2024, everyone is living in this underground city that is controlled by the Supreme. This movie, while very old, was still very interesting and creepy. The theme and concept seems so relevant in today's world, almost like they knew what we might be facing in 2024. If we take a look around at our world today, a scenario like this seems like something we might be heading towards. All the conflicts around the world we're currently seeing at this moment do seem like it can lead to some global conflict or disaster. I found this so interesting that all the way in the 1960s, the creators of this movie chose 2024 out of all the years to set their movie in. It's almost like they saw into the future and knew what was going on in our world today. How accurate does this movie seem to be set in the year 2024, and it's about the doomsday in underground bunkers? The fact that they claim their civilization ended because of nuclear weapons, and also it being shown that the people who were able to survive were the ones that hid in an underground bunker. All of this is mind-blowing to me. We have been noticing so many billionaires and now even celebrities talking about building underground bunkers and being prepared for what's coming. Is it really a coincidence that this movie just so happened to pick 2024 as the year this all happens randomly? Well, I don't think so. This movie is just like the Simpsons episode. It was created for predictive programming and foreshadowing. Throughout the movie, we can spot Masonic imagery with pyramids literally being in the background for most of the movie. They chose 2024 for a reason, as they seem to have something planned for this year. The next movie we're going to be talking about is the Book of Eli. The Book of Eli is a post-apocalyptic action movie starring Denzel Washington that was released back in 2010. The movie takes place 30 years after a nuclear apocalypse and follows the story of Eli. Eli is tasked by God to deliver the last remaining copy of the Bible to a book printing press to make copies. While on his journey to deliver the Bible, he makes a detour to try and find water and ends up in a town that is being controlled by a warlord and his gang. This warlord is searching for a copy of the Bible, as all the Bibles were burned up after the war because people believe religion was what caused the war. The warlord wanted the Bible to be able to control people by using the only Bible that's left. If he had the word of God, he can make it whatever he wanted. The warlord quickly finds out that Eli had the last remaining Bible and orders his gang to strip the book from Eli. The entire movie plays out with Eli defending the Bible and trying to get it to the printing press while the warlord's henchmen are trying to retrieve the book from him. I won't go into more of this movie as it's not needed for the rest of this video, but I do believe the Book of Eli deserves a full breakdown as it is an interesting movie. If you guys want to see a full breakdown on the Book of Eli, comment the Book of Eli below. While this movie doesn't take place in the year 2024, it does take place 30 years after 2024. In the movie, the nuclear apocalypse takes place between the years 2024 and 2030. There's even a poster in the movie with the date 2024 plastered right on it, seen in one of the scenes behind Denzel. This poster is for the movie A Boy and His Dog, a movie that we will actually be talking about next. The poster even states on it, "A future you might be alive to see," referring to the future being this post-apocalyptic world shown in both of these movies. Again, we see a movie with apocalyptic events happening in the year 2024. In the Book of Eli, civilization ends due to a nuclear apocalypse, just like we saw in the last movie. Interestingly enough, they are choosing to make a prequel for this movie that was just announced in 2024. Do you really think that that's a coincidence? The fact that they show the poster that states a future we might be alive to see is truly disturbing. The next movie we're going to be talking about is A Boy and His Dog. A Boy and His Dog is a post-apocalyptic science fiction film starring Don Johnson that was released back in the 1970s. The movie tells the story of Vic, an 18-year-old boy and his telepathic dog named Blood, trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. The movie, you guessed it, takes place in the year 2024 after World War IV, a nuclear war that destroyed civilization. In the movie, Vic is a very disturbing guy as he uses his telepathic dog to help him find vulnerable women that he can R-word. In return, he feeds the dog for the information he gives him. At some point in the movie, Vic runs into a woman he is trying to R-word, but instead ends up protecting her from a gang of mutants. After saving the girl, he ends up getting what he wants from her. She then leads him to this underground bunker city, just like we saw in the movie Beyond the Time Barrier. Vic follows after her, thinking there would be more women where she's going. When he gets to the city, he is told that the men have become infertile and that they want to use him to help with the repopulation problem. Vic, who was an 18-year-old boy, was only interested in sleeping with women, so he thought this was the best thing that could happen to him. until he found out it wouldn't be done through contact with the women at all, but instead through artificial insemination. He also learns that once he impregnated 30 women, he would be sent to the farm where he would be taken out. When Vic refuses to do it, he is threatened to be sent to the farm anyways. This movie followed the same theme as the other two movies and even had similar concepts of what problems civilization would be facing in 2024. Mind you, again, this movie came out in the 1970s, and out of all the dates they chose to set the movie in, it just so happened to be the same year as the Book of Eli's apocalypse event and the events that happened in Beyond the Time Barrier. The next movie we're going to be talking about is Songbird. Songbird is a dystopian science fiction thriller movie starring KJ Apa that was released back in 2020. The movie is about the 2020 sickness and how it ends up mutating into C23 in the year 2024. In the movie, those who are infected with C23 are forced to concentration camps and are left to perish from their sickness. In the movie, they also show how the country has become a police state with harsh, strict rules, and people are being forced to get temperature checks in order to not be sent to the farm. While this movie wasn't the greatest, I did find their predictions of a new sickness arriving by 2024 interesting. If you look around on social media, every other post, you can find someone talking about a new sickness that is coming that would be worse than the one in 2020. Who knows exactly what they got planned, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is something that does happen. We saw a lot of the things shown in this movie in 2020 that were enforced in the real world in 2021. Many establishments like casino, airports, and amusement parks were all installing temperature detectors for their establishment. The next movie we're going to be talking about is Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla vs. Kong is a monster action film starring Alexander Skarsgård. This movie is set in the year 2024 and depicts a great battle between King Kong and Godzilla. In the movie, the two giant beasts could be seen fighting each other and destroying the city. This movie is actually a metaphor for two great powers colliding and a massive war taking place. The fact that this movie is once again set in the year 2024 is very telling to me. As we can see, for whatever reason, Hollywood repeatedly chooses the year 2024, pointing to total disaster. While I don't believe those who made these movies could see the future, I do believe they know the plans for the future. I see these movies as instances of predictive programming, showing what they have planned for the future. While everything being shown in these movies might seem concerning, when you are with God, nothing is to worry about. God's true people will be safe no matter what happens to this world. These were some of the movies that made dark predictions for 2024, but there were also TV shows that made predictions for 2024 as well. I just didn't want to add them to this video since this one was based on movies. So if you guys want to see a full episode on TV shows that made dark predictions for 2024, let me know below. Well, that's it for this video, but before you guys go, I just wanted to let you guys know that I post videos every other day at 1 p.m. Eastern. The next video will be dropping on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I have been realizing YouTube hasn't been recommending my content to those of you who are subscribed, so many of you guys have been missing important videos. Make sure you guys are subscribed and have hit the notification bell to get notified of new videos. We cannot let them use their tactics to silence the truth. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.